What is up, guys? So there has been rampant speculation about which character will be leaving the show this season on The Flash. Most of it points to Cisco leaving just because the season seems like it's setting up his departure from the show, and there has been some speculation and some rumors that Carlos Valdez, the actor who plays Cisco, will be leaving the show this season. Now, Cisco is one of the most beloved characters on this show, which is precisely why I think he should leave the show, because at this point he is not as beloved as he was in season 1 and 2, just because he's kind of fallen off the map in terms of what they're giving him since season 4 started. Season 4 and 5, he hasn't been really given that much material, and I think if he leaves the show now, really get out before he just becomes a bad character or becomes a mediocre character, I think that's not a bad idea. But there are also multiple other characters on The Flash that I think have the potential to be leaving the show this season along with Cisco. I think there are 5 characters on The Flash that should be leaving the show, and I think The Flash should have either an all-new cast with certain characters or should have a much smaller cast so that the money that's going to those actors can go to more special effects and bigger fight scenes or speedster fight scenes really on this show, because looking at season 5 there are no speedster fight scenes really, and I think there are too many actors for the show to handle. So here are 5 characters who I think should leave the show this season. The first one is Cisco Ramon. I know a lot of people don't want him to leave, even certain people saying that if he leaves they'll stop watching the show. In my opinion, that if he leaves now, really get out before he becomes a bad character. I don't think that's a bad idea, and I think that there's not really much left for him to do. I don't think they should kill him off, and I think the fact that they're setting him up with his love interest and the fact that he doesn't want to be Vibe anymore, that's a great way to get him out of the show, to him really move out of Central City with this Camilla girl that he met in this season, and even get married to her maybe in season 6 as maybe this one-off episode where they go to his wedding. I'm not sure, but I do think Cisco is one of the characters that should be leaving the show. One of the other characters that I think should leave the show is very similar to Cisco, the reason they should leave the show, and that is Caitlin Snow, aka Killer Frost. Killer Frost, aka Caitlin Snow, has been around since season 1, or at least Caitlin was, as basically very similar to Cisco, a member of Team Flash, and not at all what she is like now in terms of Killer Frost. That has drastically changed over the course of the years. She became a villain, then she became an anti-hero. Now she's basically a fully fledged superhero, and I don't personally like the fact that Killer Frost is a superhero. Just going by the name, it doesn't really make any sense for her to be a superhero at all. She probably should have gone full villain in season 3 and left the show even then, because similar to Cisco, she has not been given that much good material over the last couple seasons, and even before that. I mean, Cisco was always a great character. Caitlin, I don't think, was ever a great character in the first couple seasons. She was good, but she was no Cisco, so for her, even to a bigger degree, there's not really much left for her to do during these last couple seasons. So the only thing they've been giving her this season and last season is a rehash of her origin story, a retconning of her origin story, which didn't really need to happen, and the introduction of Icicle, her father, as a new villain who we've only seen once, although he will return. I think that is a great way to get her off the show, and while I think Cisco shouldn't die, I think Killer Frost probably at the hands of Icicle. Either that or she becomes a fully fledged villain, and because of that she can't really appear in every episode because she's not the main villain and she's not a hero. So I think that she should be one of the characters that leaves the show as well, just because, just like Cisco, she should leave while she's ahead before she becomes a truly annoying, mediocre, and bad character, because Cisco and Caitlin have been becoming that over the course of the last couple seasons. I think that Joe, who has not appeared really in the last couple episodes, really since like the second or third episode of the season, he hasn't appeared at all. The reason for that is because the actor, Jesse L. Martin, he had a back injury and he couldn't appear on the show. You can even see in the first couple episodes of the season, he's sitting down the entire time, probably because of that injury, and I don't mean probably, I mean definitely, but I think that in the episodes he didn't appear, I noticed that he's not really needed on the show anymore, and there's no real reason for him to be on the show anymore, other than some like pep talk from him with Barry, which are nice occasionally, occasionally, but they're not really needed for the most part, as Barry, we saw in the season, has become more of a parent himself than a student, or more of a teacher than a student, so he doesn't really need those pep talks anymore. And those pep talks did get annoying, not specifically from Joe, but in general in the first couple seasons. So at this point, there's no real need for Joe to be around, and the fact that he has not been around for the last like 10, 11, 12 episodes, and I barely even noticed he's not really a character that needs to be there anymore, definitely says a lot about his character in general. I think he was a great character in season 1, much like Cisco and Caitlin. He's a character that fell off the map, became kind of irrelevant over the next couple seasons, and at this point, he didn't appear for so many episodes, and yet the show still felt complete in its cast. In fact, the cast still felt a little bit bloated and a little bit too big, so I think Joe should also leave the show, and with Joe, Cecile should leave as well. Cecile is the only character in this video who I don't think has ever been a great character. Like Cisco, Caitlin, Joe, they were all great in season 1, 2, and even 3 for the most part, but in season 4 they kind of fell off the map. Season 5 they're not really needed anymore, but Cecile has never been a good character. She wasn't bad when she was introduced, which I think was season 2, and then became a much larger character in season 4, but she kind of was bad in season 5 with the storylines with Ralph, where she's completely separated from Joe and she became a character on her own. I don't like that. I mean, in the comics, she's like a one-off lawyer in the Trial of the Flash storyline, which she did see in season 4, and she was the lawyer in that storyline, but outside of that, she's never done anything, which doesn't mean anything really for the show. They do take some liberties with the comics, and some of those liberties do turn out to be great, like Cisco joining the team. He's never been affiliated with the Flash in the comics, and Killer Frost hasn't either, and neither has the Elongated Man, like a member of Team Flash. But Cecile is a character who is not really a major character for the Flash in the comics, and in the show, she's not really an improvement either. At the moment, she's kind of annoying, and if Joe does leave the show, which he kind of already has, there's no real point for Cecile as well. I mean, she's a series regular this season, and she's appeared in maybe 5, 6 episodes, never really having a major role except for like 1, maybe 2 episodes, so that's definitely saying something. There's no reason for Cecile to be around anymore, so I think she's one of the 5 characters that should leave the show, and I think her departure from the show would go pretty much unnoticed, as there's no real storyline to ever give her on this show. And I mean, if Joe's leaving, then she should leave as well. The last character who I think should leave the show in this season is the Flash's costume. No, I'm kidding. It's Harrison Wells, not really specifically Sherlock Wells, but I think Harrison Wells in general, basically every single version of Harrison Wells should leave the show after the season. I don't think it will happen because they're probably planning on using Reverse Flash next year in Crisis on Infinite Earths as probably maybe the main antagonist of that crossover, but I would prefer it if it's Matt Letcher anyway. I don't think Tom Cavanaugh should be on the show anymore. He was great in season 1, great in season 2, season 3, not that much. Season 4, he was kind of bad. In season 5, I think they kind of redeemed him a little bit with Sherlock. I think I really like him. I like his storyline. His investigation of Nora Allen, I think, is a great storyline this season, one of the better parts of season 5, but it's not really enough to redeem not really Tom Cavanaugh, but Harrison Wells in general on this show. I don't think he's ever gotten bad, but I do think he's overstayed his welcome quite a bit. He was great as both Harrison Wells and Eobard Thawne in season 1, great as Harry Wells in season 2, but I think that is probably where he should have left the show, and Reverse Flash should have been played by Matt Letcher from then on, and Tom Cavanaugh should probably not have been on the show whatsoever. His whole multiversal thing, the Council of Wells, the Council of Harrisons, that kind of sucked, and all the storylines he's had with the multiverse kind of sucked as well, and I think Harrison Wells, again, overstayed his welcome and shouldn't be on the show anymore. After all 5 of these characters leave the show, which I highly doubt they will all leave in season 5, because that's an incredible amount of characters to leave in just one season, and I don't think, probably only one of these characters will leave, and that's probably Joe, in my opinion, or probably also Cisco, but all 5 of them, it's probably not going to happen, but I think it should, and after it does, the only characters that will be left on the show are Barry Allen, Nora Allen, Iris West, and Ralph Dibny, and I think they should build up from there. Maybe introduce Barry Allen, maybe introduce a new villain with the Red Death next season, or Godspeed could even become a hero and then an anti-hero and then a fully fledged villain like he is in the comics, although he's kind of an anti-hero. I think there are a lot of characters they could bring on the show that certain characters like Cisco, Caitlin, Joseph, Seal, and Sherlock, or Harrison Wells in general, are limiting in the last couple seasons of The Flash. Getting rid of all these characters would make the cast a little bit smaller, and definitely would make it will definitely bring up some opportunities with fight scenes and new characters they can introduce. I know a lot of people would want Nora or even Iris, or especially Iris, to leave the show, but in my opinion, Iris should never leave the show. She's Iris West. She's the most important character in Barry Allen's life in the comics, and Nora Allen, although I do think that she probably can't stay around after this season as a storyline. I don't know how that would entail that. Maybe she gets stuck in this time period. It's definitely possible, but even her, I don't want her to leave the show. I think that she is a good character for the most part. She has the potential to be a great character as well. They should probably introduce a couple other characters, but after these 5 characters leave, which I think they should, The Flash should have basically a soft reboot with season 6, with a whole new tone, a whole new formula for the season, and a whole new cast, only keeping a couple members. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below what your opinion is on this thing. Which one of these characters do you think should leave the show the most? And if you think Iris or Nora or even Ralph should leave the show more, let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.